morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Daily Dose. It's Tuesday. We're talking today about something we've touched on quite a bit, but kind of this week we're using it as a general wrap-up of things to think about from the past year and a little bit. So we're talking today about the fear that a lot of addicts face that they'll be boring when they're sober. That was a big fear for you.
Yes, it was.
Can you talk more about that, Dr. Mary?
I always thought that having some alcohol in me made me incredibly interesting and brave and
Witty. You thought
Witty.
you were terrifically witty.
entertaining. And, yeah, that's not the case.
Actually, what it really did was it made you sweary.
Well,
Swearier.
I thought it bolstered my confidence.
Swearier. A little bit obnoxious, loud,
Yeah.
and insistent.
Yes.
None of those are super amazing qualities. So I came across a Medium article talking specifically about this. And I had Maz read it this morning. He said to me, there's not much there, which isn't untrue.
But then I said we could pad it out by just talking about us
all right.
around it.
So
The whole thing was
what do you
about-
want to say?
The whole thing's about building healthier mindsets. So this person who, I can't remember who the author is, who is it?
Gotta go up. Oh, it's Benya Clark. We've
Benya
talked
Clark.
about Benya Clark before.
Benya came out with 3 steps. They're interesting, so we'll just go through them. Progress, not perfection, is the first step. And he did this. Benya did point out, and it's actually highlighted here, that one of the great ironies of addiction is that some substance is that
The
the
same
same
substance.
substance which is destroying your lives can also imbibe us with insane levels of confidence and arrogance. When you've lost that, you become very, very self-aware and you think you are completely uninteresting and unworthy to be out anywhere.
I would say we have addressed this privately until probably the last 6 months. So for 4 straight years, I've sort of had to encourage you that you're not boring. You know, so I mean, it's a really real thing. But I have something I want to say at the end of this. So let's do the other 2 mindsets.
Well, I mean, it's
please.
also interesting when even, both your brothers said, I kind of always liked him, sort of, but now he's awesome. And everyone else, well, not everybody, let's not get too great. A lot of people close to me have actually said the same thing. Especially, and of course you. Every now and then you proclaim that, God, I'm so much better sober.
Yes.
So-
we'll just go with yes.
So that's it. Progress, not perfection. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but you are progressing in the right direction, and I have been for over 4 years. The second one.
Did you want to take a commercial break?
Yes, we'll be back right
We'll be
after
back.
this.
Stay tuned.
One day at a time. That old adage. Build
One day at a time.
in for it's on the chips. It's on the key rings that you get from Narcotics Anonymous. It just simply says one day at a time, and it's the absolute truth. Someone said, how are you going to spend the rest of your life sober? You don't worry about that. You worry about getting through the next 24 hours, and then the next 24 hours.
Well, you've even gone so far as to break it down far, far smaller chunks than that. You make the bed,
Yeah.
and then you do the next successful thing, and then the next successful thing, because maybe for many people, and maybe even including you, initially 24 hours is a super long time.
Yeah.
So how can you stay sober for the next 5 minutes?
For me, I'm lucky because I don't really have any cravings. I don't think about drink. I know some people I know have been sober a lot longer than me. It's still the first thing that they think about when they wake up is, God, I'd love a drink.
Yeah. Adam Martin last week talked about
Well-
how much he likes alcohol and how it makes him feel. That is incredible to think about, having that kind of desire and saying no to it over and over and over again.
Well, I've had this realization for years. I'm just going to give you this last weekend we've had together. So with this fantastic family reunion that we talked about yesterday, and I just looked around and I just thought, this is brilliant. I am incredibly happy. I am sober. a few people around us are having a couple of drinks. They're not drunk, they're just enjoying themselves. And I just thought, I'm just enjoying myself, and it was fantastic.
Let me
I ate too much, but
well, let me say this, because I was thinking about this yesterday. So there were 13 people together this weekend. If you take Maz out of the mix, there were 9 people who could drink. 9 people
Well.
drank. Yes, that's you, Mason, Elise, and Ivy.
oh right, yeah. I thought I was going to say, surely you don't want the 10-year-old to have a drink.
Right, see, 13
Yeah,
minus 4 is
I got
9.
that,
Even
yeah.
I can do that math. Anyway, 9 people who could drink. We drank 2.5 bottles of wine over the course of 3.5 days. 2.5 bottles of wine. So you want to talk about virtually no alcohol consumption. That was delightful. I feel really lucky to have always grown up in a household where alcohol is just not a thing. It's there now. It was never there when I was a child, but it's there now sometimes, often not, and mostly nobody uses it. That's a gift. Okay.
So I just want to finish this bit by quoting the last sentence that was written here. Breaking sobriety goals into bite-sized chunks makes it easy to cope with, and before you know it, those days end up as years.
Yep.
That's it.
Are we taking? Is that everything you
That's
want
it,
to say?
and we'll be back after this short break. The last one is life's too short for drinking. It's true. You don't know you're doing it, but you've put your life on hold. And this person did write in here that when they were drinking, they dreamt of a perfect sober life, and I think I did on more than one occasion. I'll be sitting there, think, oh, it'd be great if I could get over this, but then it was fleeting and went away, or you kind of hide it because you were ashamed of it or scared of it. But life is too short for drinking, because think about all that you've missed by drinking. Time does fly by when you're kind of semi-conscious and not completely aware of what time is going by, and then suddenly days lead into years. When you get back to being enjoying sobriety, no matter what you're addicted to, then you have time to do the little things, and it's the little things that end up becoming the big things if you luckily to live long enough to make that connection.
So here's what I want to say, and I don't mean this dismissively or derisively. Get in friggin' line. Every single thing you said is not an alcoholic's perspective.
true.
It's a human's perspective. Do you know how many times in my life I've walked in and thought, I have nothing to contribute to this conversation. I'm so dull. Or how many times I've thought to myself, including this weekend, let me just give you a perfect example.
Oh, this
For
is what
a
you wanted to
year
talk about.
and a month, year and 2 weeks, whatever it's been, I have been telling you that Special K bars are my alcohol. My stepmom, Mary, made a pan of Special K bars, okay? A full cake pan. I ate the pan.
Well, that's
I don't know.
not true.
You had about
You
this.
lovingly let me try a bit.
If the pan is this big,
It was.
maybe someone ate this much, and I ate the whole damn pan because I had to, because it was there, and because I could. That is no different. I literally, Mary brought them to the cabin where we were staying the first night, and then she took them home with her. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, I gotta go down and get a Special K bar. And they were nowhere to be found because I didn't realize she had taken them back to the camper. So we went over there the next day and I said, Mare, where are the Special K bars? And she said, they're in there. And I ate like 4 rows. It was insane. I was like a person possessed.
It was second helpings call at the psychiatric hospital canteen. She went in with elbows up.
I did. So there's that. I don't remember what the second point was. Practice, not perfection. How many days of the week, how many moments of your life do you wake up and think, all right, today I won't do this. I'm not going to do this. I am going to do this. I will go for a walk. I won't do this. And we do it. I think that what is so incredible about what I have learned this year is that addiction is a human struggle
Yeah,
to some extent.
it is.
If you're the person who literally cannot function without your first cup of coffee, you have an addiction. It might not kill
Well,
you,
Caffeine, coffee is a drug.
but it might not kill you the way drugs and alcohol will. But your brain reacts exactly the same way.
And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, it's not an addiction, try not drinking coffee for 4 days and then see how you feel. You are going to go through withdrawal
Uh,
from caffeine.
Try not to shop. Try not to overeat. Try not to spend too much money. Fill in your blank. Try not to be anxious that you're boring. Good luck. You know what? I agree with John Z. John says, I'm not boring and I have a lot of energy about himself. That is 100% true, John. I'm not boring and I have a ton of energy, and I still sometimes think to myself, I am really boring. That is the purview of being a human being. Self-doubt, self-consciousness, insecurity, telling ourselves things that may or may not actually be true. You are 1,000 million, 100 gabillion times more interesting sober. That is a number. You just haven't studied enough math to know it.
I believe you.
That's actor math.
Yeah.
You are so much more interesting sober.
Thank
You were never interesting drunk. Never. I can't think of one time where I thought, well, that was fun.
One thing I have noticed of doing these daily doses with you, actually, is the fact I'm also happier sober. No question.
Yeah.
I also would like to bring out, I mean, you brought this up.
You started it.
Careful, they might turn this around and take us home. One thing I've learned this year we've been doing this is, and someone pointed this out to me, and I don't know if I made the connection or just went, that's interesting. The 12 promises of Alcohol Anonymous, and I believe they're the same promises in Narcotics Anonymous too.
And in Al-Anon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you do that. Only one of them's about kicking your addiction. The other 11 are fantastic pieces of advice to live a happy life.
Yes. Yes.
So if anyone's just coming into this, watch all of these. There's a questionnaire.
There's only 272
There's
to
a
watch.
prize at the end of it. No, but, and then think about it. We did the 12 promises. They are very fantastic pieces of advice that you can save a boatload of money on going to your $100 an hour therapist if you think about them and try them yourself.
Not that
No.
there's anything wrong with going to a therapist.
There is incredible value of going to a $100
Any dollar.
therapist
The amount
because
is irrelevant.
they know what they are trained professionals. But as a starting step, this could be good for you.
Yeah, I just have found it so valuable to think about the fact that alcohol is the theme around Daily Dose of Dr. Marion Dede. But actually, the content is applicable to almost everyone because we all struggle. That's the nature of being human.
And this comes into the final thoughts of this article. Like, learning new mindsets, new ways to see and think about the world isn't easy. When you quit drinking or quit
Whatever you're struggling
anything,
with.
pan of bars, when you quit eating a pan of bars, your world won't change overnight.
No, because I would eat a whole other pan today.
It does take months of reflection. It's the same thing about when you try and lose weight, and for the first few weeks you lose a few pounds, and then it stops.
And you plateau.
It's because you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but fat does turn into muscle, and it is heavier. But if you keep going, your weight may stay the same, but then start looking at yourself in the mirror because your body shape is going to change.
Or your checking account will increase.
Yes, and of
or
course, yes.
whatever it is you're trying to counterbalance and change and shift in your life.
It isn't easy and it can't be fixed overnight, so that's where the long game and the persistence and the one day at a time and even breaking it into smaller chunks like that come into play.
Absolutely. Hey, it was super fun to see all of you watching today, 3 days before we wrap up for a month. So stay with us this week, and then take the month of August off with us and plan to come back in September for whatever Daily Dose looks like at that point. But just, I think, The nice thing about thinking about this, I think, the anxiety that an addict feels is you're just like everybody else. We all have our own hang-ups.
Which is actually the point.
Yeah.
About being
It's why it's so
sober.
crappy that we other addicts in such terrible ways. Because actually, addicts are just us with their own struggles. That's it. We all fall into some gradation of that category. Some of us can manage it better, or some of us can hide it better, or some of us are further down the path. But nobody's better than a known addict. They're just where they are. So try to extend a little grace both to yourself and to other people today. And don't spend any more time wondering if you're a more interesting person drinking. I can promise you, you are not. I think that's good for today.
It is.
I have to go have some breakfast. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.